Anybody interviewing Jello Biafra, get your ass here now.
Are we ready?
Ready. First question. What is Shockupy?
Well, Shockupy is a song I wrote as kind of tribute and inspiration of the Occupy movement, specifically the side of resistance and protest that is my favorite, namely the pranks and the theater, the celebration, and as I said from the stage, the part that comforts the afflicted and has great fun afflicting the comfortable. A prank a day keeps the dog leash away.
Two questions. You speak a lot to the utility of direct action. How do you feel about the diversity of tactics, how they play out in the Occupy movement and beyond, and what do you think their place is within this movement?
Oh, I think the more the merrier, as long as they don't hurt anybody. You know, non-violent, and even though a human being might not get hurt by a rock through a Starbucks window, I was right near that Starbucks when it happened in Seattle in 1999, and then not only did CNN and all the other wannabe Fox Newses have their excuse to call a peaceful march of 50,000 people an anarchist riot, but then the cops had their excuse to beat the crap out of people, gas them, and arrest them. So you got to be careful with things like that, because it's sometimes, I mean, as much as some of the black bloc stuff was cool, now all you got to do, I think they did this in Geneva, I'm convinced of it, the cops put on the black bloc clubs, then you can't tell who they are, and they, you know, trying to urge other people on to do violent acts that they then get arrested for while the undercover cops do not. I mean, there's already been instances like this in Austin, Texas, and in Cleveland, Ohio, where occupiers have been arrested for plotting terrorist acts that may put them away for the rest of their life, and the person egging them on saying, yeah, I know where we can get explosives, yeah, let's do this, come on, what are you, some kind of chicken shit, some kind of pussy, you need to blow stuff up, was an undercover cop. It's called entrapment. And so, be smart, avoid entrapment, which also means, you know, even though I love that Nick Lowe song, I love the sound of breaking glass, non-violence.
Earlier, when you were introducing the Raging Grannies, you entreated us to heed the advice of our elders. You've influenced several generations, continue to, of young people awaken their minds to politics. There's people getting involved with Occupy for the first time. It's their first time relating to politics. What's your advice to them, and how do they not repeat the mistakes of the past?
Well, I can't really put that in a soundbite. That's the size of a book, but you just got to take on as much as you can at a time, learn, and don't automatically believe the first thing you see or hear. You know, don't just question authority, question bloggers. Question each other and try to make sure you got your information right, the best that you possibly can, and keep learning, keep opening. And as I was saying from the stage, Occupy to me, it's more of a state of mind, kind of like punk was a state of mind, the activist hippies stopping the Vietnam War, that was a state of mind, the Beat Generation, Spirit of Seattle they called it before that, which surprised me because when I was in Seattle I thought, wow, they're finally acting like Europeans. But even in Europe, oh, tell us about the Spirit of Seattle. It's like, you invented it. So it's a spirit thing that people can apply in many different ways. I mean, going back to punk, where my background is, people who look cartoon punk, you know, you might as well work in a bank or be in a boy band. Some people look punk but have no spirit. Others have oodles of punk spirit, but they are into a completely different culture. I mean, Winston Smith, who's designed a lot of my album covers, would look more like an old hippie or even a biker, but he's about as punk up here as you can get. Same for Wesley Willis, and same for the people putting the work and the guts in to get Occupy off the ground. A lot of people in the Occupy movement say we shouldn't vote at all. There should be no partisan politics. Dead wrong, in my opinion. I have learned kind of the hard way after I refused to vote for years, and Frank Zappa, among others, talked me back into it. Voting does matter, even if it's corporate cartoon character A versus corporate cartoon character B for president or senator or governor or whatever. What about the local elections? It matters who's mayor. It matters who's on the city council. It matters who's in the state legislature, because if the opposition is in there, you don't get these laws like in Wisconsin and in Ohio and Michigan and in New Jersey where there's a rubber stamp. It helps to pay attention to these. It matters who's on the school board, because otherwise the friends of Pat Robertson and Rick Santorum are working actively to take over school boards. Exhibit A, Dover, Pennsylvania. Exhibit B, Vista, California. You prevent that when you show up and vote. And so few people vote in local elections that the people pay attention and show up and vote smart. People like us have a far better chance of getting good people elected and good laws passed. Unlike several of your other countries, we can actually vote on laws, yes or no, in referendums, ballot initiatives. And a lot of people aren't paying attention to those, but that's rent control. That's medical marijuana, decriminalizing marijuana. That's not using money that should be spent helping homeless people to build a football stadium or a golf course. You got to pay attention to this stuff. It's very, very important, and that's why I take voting very seriously now and encourage everybody else to do the same.
Where do you think there's like common ground for people coming together?
Well, I may not be the best person for that, but you know, not every Toby Keith fan is going to dig the sound of my music. But and people ask before, if you want to reach more people, why don't you make your music sound more like R.E.M. or U2? Because I don't like that shit. I want to play what I like. So, but now instead I point you in the direction of your friend and mine, Michael Moore, who's said for at least 15 years, maybe more, we are the majority and we don't even know it. And you appeal to middle America on one basic issue. I guess this is me talking now how to frame it. Putting food on the table. I would guess that's what the 99% of the 99%, that is their number one issue. Day to day is how I'm going to put food on the table. And that's where the common issues of survival, income, meaningful work, union and labor rights, and money being stolen by criminal wealth addicts and things, or like crack addicts, only they're addicted to money. These things can get through if you frame it the right way, become the media one-on-one to people, eye to eye, in your family, home, work. They start spouting, oh yeah, Paul Ryan's kind of got some fresh ideas or whatever. Talk to them. Don't argue with them or put them down as rednecks or stupid or whatever. Communicate. And that's how everybody can reach out to middle America. I mean, the internet is great for that too. Sometimes you got to look people in the eye as well.
In your opinion, which is the difference between Occupy Wall Street and the previous movement in the USA?
I think it's too early to tell, because the spirit of Seattle touched off a lot of both anti-corporate activity and people looking in their own minds, what can I do personally to fight corporations taking over the world, or specifically, what more can I do to fight corporations taking over me, myself, and I? Bush's wars came, and it derailed the focus of the anti-corporate movement, and now Occupy has brought that focus back. And of course, Occupy was not first, even in this country. I think the much bigger occupation, 100,000 strong, of the Wisconsin Capitol building, that was the first big shot. And then a little bit later, there was Los Indignados occupying the, the Playa del Sol in Barcelona. And apparently they took their inspiration from a strike in Portugal I didn't even read about till yesterday in the Occupy Times. And so it's been building. It's the latest manifestation of people's frustration at having their lives bulldozed, gouged open, and then sold back to them at twice the price by runaway corporate gangsters.